Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Questions and Answers with Scott. It's been about 5 months since we last did one of these videos, and I've finally gotten around to pulling up the questions and getting going. So just as a reminder to anybody who's never seen the first video, I'll include an annotation up here-ish that should have all the information you want. You can click that and go watch the first episode. So the format of this is that you send me questions tagged for YouTube on Ask FM, and I answer them in this video. So let's go ahead and get down to it. Question number 1 comes from Elfshot, who says, if you could go back to school and study whatever you wanted without worry about practicality, job outlook, etc., what would it be? So this is an interesting question. This is something that I've actually given some thought to. I've thought about going back to school and either getting a master's degree or getting a second bachelor's degree. The academic in me really wants me to go back to school and get a bachelor's degree in the hard sciences, probably astrophysics, because I just love astrophysics. Unfortunately, I would need to really teach myself some pretty advanced math that I haven't touched in a very long time, but there is that. If I had to choose another bachelor's degree, I would probably want to go into computer science or something like that. And for those of you who don't know, my current bachelor's degree is a Bachelor of Arts in International Studies and Political Science. So that's what I studied in school for undergraduate. For a master's, I would probably continue going along in the international studies, political science, history sort of way, because someday I might want to be a college professor. I'm still not sure. It's very early in my career track to think about that sort of thing. But anyway, I thought that was a good question. So simply, if I went back for another bachelor's, I get something in the hard sciences, either astrophysics or computer science. Question number 2. What is your favorite fruit? From Anonymous. My favorite fruit is probably a pear. I'm not much into fruit. I actually don't like sweet things in general. I like kind of darker chocolate and stuff like that, but I don't really like very sugary things. I'm not very much into ice cream or cake. And along those lines, I don't like fruit. I like vegetables a lot more. But if I had to choose a fruit, I would definitely say that it would be a pear. Question number 3. As a Time Lord, how do you feel about being half ginger this regeneration? Kappa, from Claire LMS. So that's a joke that's left over from when I had my beard. The last Q&A video that I did was recorded with my facial hair. And of course, at Zeldathon, I ended up shaving it off. I've been debating growing back my facial hair for Zeldathon Adventure coming up in July. I'm not sure if I'm going to yet. I might make it a donation incentive for me to grow my beard back. If, you know, a certain thing happens at Zeldathon, a certain amount is raised, I might grow my beard back. But anyway, the joke comes from that because of my very distant German and Nordic heritage. I have red facial hair right along the edges here, so that's where that joke comes from. And of course, it's a Doctor Who joke because the Doctor always wants to be a redhead during his regenerations, and he never gets the chance, including the 12th regeneration, Peter Capaldi, who's going to be playing the Doctor in the next season, whenever that airs. My family history. So, my family from my father's side, very far back, comes from Wales, and on my mom's side, very far back, it's Nordic, then Germany, and we're talking like 1,000 years ago far back. Nordic Germany, and then they eventually made it over to Scotland, and they were Scottish, which is hilarious considering my first name. But anyway, they immigrated from Scotland to Northern Ireland as part of the English campaign to colonize Ireland, and they were Scotch-Irish. You've probably heard that term before. Well, that's where that came from. They were Presbyterians, Presbyterian ministers. And so, in order to avoid political and religious violence, they immigrated to America in the mid 1700s, and that's how we got here. So that's where the red hair comes from. Question number 4. Do you plan on bringing back the somewhat underrated podcast? If so, who can we look forward to as guests from Commander Sealand? At the time, I was talking with Tyler about bringing it back on a semi regular basis, but that hasn't come to fruition at all. And as of right now, there are no plans to bring the podcast back, which is a shame because I always enjoy talking about things. But yeah. And last today, we have question number 5. Do you like to play any other video games besides Minecraft? Do you have any consoles, such as Xbox or PS4? If so, could you maybe make some videos on other games? From Anonymous. Okay, so I had an Xbox 360. I sold that about a year and a half ago or so, maybe a year ago. And I acquired a Wii U when the Wind Waker HD was released back in October. So the current generation console that I have is a Wii U. I've thought about recording Wii U games. I have the ability to. I might do a playthrough of the Wind Waker for YouTube. I don't know how much interest there would be in that, but it's something that I've thought about, doing an entire LP series in the Wind Waker. Other than that, I've been thinking about and trying to branch out into other games other than Minecraft, but the recordings either don't turn out well or there's absolutely no interest in them. Like, interest in my videos has been steadily going down over time as it is. I used to get between 200 and 300 views per episode of my Minecraft LP. These days, I'm lucky to get over 125, 150 per episode. So, and my other Minecraft videos that aren't my main LP series, they don't do very well. So I don't know, I just haven't been motivated to branch off into other games. I released an episode of Smite today. I'll go ahead and annotate that above for you. But it's not doing well in terms of views. Like, I know it's not about views and everything like that, but the problem is that you get to a certain point where the view count is so low that you can't really justify the effort, because while views aren't everything, and I'm not looking to get like major exposure or lots of views or something like that, I'm looking to entertain. But if you get to a threshold where the view count is just so low that it just really isn't worth the time and effort that you put into it. So I guess my answer to this question is yes, I'm interested in doing other games as LP games, especially if it's multiplayer, but I'm having trouble justifying it because whenever I do branch off into a new game, it doesn't do well. So we'll see. I mean, I have some ideas for stuff, but yeah, we'll see. Hey, so that's all the time we have for today. If you liked today's episode, please leave a like, make sure you subscribe and all that jazz. Really helps me out. You can check out my Patreon page and all my other social media links, which are down below. And of course, if you want to have your questions featured in the next Q&A with Scott episode, whenever that gets released, go to my AskFM profile, which is linked below, and go on there and ask questions with the prefix capital Y, capital T, and that'll let me know to save those questions for YouTube. The other thing too is that in addition to doing 5 questions per Q&A episode, I am also going to start pulling these questions to answer 1 or 2 at the end of each of my LP episodes. So look forward to that. Make sure that you log in with your AskFM username, or you specify in your question a username so that I can give you proper credit for your question. So yeah, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.